welcome to the One Life Church devotional series. We cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are 1 John 3 and Isaiah 15. Now, I'm up here in Georgia. I'm staying in an Airbnb here. I've come on a ministry trip with one of the business guys from Cape Town. We enjoyed an incredible drive up here today, a 4-hour drive. And, ministry and life in the kingdom is not really about function. It's about people. It's about relationship. And I've really been reminded about that today as I've been doing life together with this friend of mine. Now, this is what John says in 1 John 3. Now, we know that he's the great apostle of love, and he says this: "See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are." Because we are God's children, we belong to Him, and therefore belong to each other. We have rights of children together with our brothers and sisters. And we have an identity first and foremost as His family, before we members of our own families. Verse 5 says, "But you know that He appeared so that He might take away our sins," so take away the complications that get into relationships. And He says this, verse 8, "The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the devil's work." Now, one of the works that the devil tries to do is to breathe discord in between people and to remove the sense of family, the sense of oneness that God intends on earth. No one who is born of God will continue to sin, because God's seed remains in them. And they cannot go on sinning because they have been born of God. Now, He does not mean that we are now perfect in every sense. But He is saying that we've got a new nature now, and it is out of character for us to sin. So if we are at odds with someone relationally, it's out of character for us to be happy with that, to be content with that. "For this is the message you heard from the beginning, that we should love one another." And He says, not like Cain and Abel, who messed things up. This chapter is a chapter describing the Christian faith as being one that is characterized by covenantal friendships one with another. Anyone who does not remain in love remains in death. He says, you've got one of two choices. You live with the love of God, or you wind up in death, to your relationships, to your life, to your future. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down His life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. What does that mean, to lay down our lives? It means in service. It means in time. In this example, He says, in terms of giving, if you've got stuff and your friends don't have stuff, you should be looking after them. And this is His command. This is God's command to us. Believe in the name of His Son, Jesus Christ, and to love one another as He has commanded us. John gets right to the essence of what it means to be a Christian, what it means to have victory over sin. And it's evidenced in our relationships one with another. Which leads us to Isaiah chapter 15, which is essentially about the Moabites. Now, the interesting thing is the Moabites were related to the Israelites, because remember, their great ancestor was the son that came out of an incestuous relationship with Lot, who was Abraham's cousin, and one of his daughters. I mean, it's a horrific story, but it's a blood relative of Abraham. And so while they became Israel's opponents at various times in Israel's history, David was 1/4 Moabite, wasn't he? One of his grandmothers was Ruth, who was a Moabitess. David even entrusted his mom and dad to the care of the Moabites when he was being pursued by Saul. And so it seems that it's with some real regret and sadness when Isaiah has to prophesy against the Moabites who are going to be judged. And so as we listen to this prophecy, I'm reminded, particularly reading it in conjunction with 1 John 3, that God's intent is not that we break away from each other, not that we alienate ourselves from each other, but we allow the dealings of God in our lives which affect our relationships one with the other. God bless you. I'm heading off for a dinner now with my friend and the local elders at this local church, and I'm trusting for covenantal type fellowship as we renew our friendship with this church.